Well, good morning, everybody. We've got today on the bench. Get that off there. Hope I remember to put it in there. Planet Web, that's an old one. We've got on the bench here an HD-28 V. And I've worked on this guitar before. The owner shares a couple things. First of all, his bridge is cracked right here in between the pins, and I've been wanting to do one of those on a video for a while, so we're going to do this one probably in a separate video so that we'll have I might do it in addition, so we'll combine it, but the bridge is cracked in between the pins. He's also complaining about a little bit of a fuzzy sound on some of the frets. And by the way, looking at the bridge, I suspect a loose bridge here. So I'm going to reach over here and get a feeler gauge, and these are old feeler gauges that I cut off and just sandwiched between two little pieces of spruce. And this is an 04. They're really handy for this kind of thing. I think I've re-glued this bridge. I don't know. No, it's stuck on there pretty good. One thing I noticed about this, first of all, it's got bone pins, and I installed them, so you know, I know they fit, but it seems like I see a lot. Seems like almost all of the cracked bridges that I see have bone pins in them, and I'm not sure why. Maybe the humidity goes up, the bridge swells, and the pins are absolutely inflexible. So first thing I want to see is how tight are these pins, because the bone pin should be a little bit loose. You know, that you want the string to hold it on there. And I'm going to take a look at that fit. So the other thing, I'm going to just take a look at this general guitar like this. And the first thing I see is a lot of corduroy across the top. You know, I can feel that corduroy. The guitar's dry. I mean, I don't care what the RH is. I suspect a dry guitar. I know an RH, relative humidity, is just a number. You've got to read the guitar and match the RH to it. So this guitar might need a higher humidity. I don't know. I'm going to take this straight edge, I'm going to lay it across the top, and it should clear the sides by about at least 1/8 of an inch. And what I see, trying to get this on video, is a ferocious dip right here. It's almost touching the sides of the guitar. And there's a dip, a concavity right here on both of these, like this. This guitar's dry. There's no getting around it. I see that corduroy effect, I see a dip in there, I see a cracked bridge. So the bridge cracked either from too much humidity or lack of humidity. Now remember that a lot of times if a guitar is over humidified, the wood cells are bound by the box, right? So as it over humidifies, those cells swell and then get compressed, and then when the guitar dries out again, comes back to a normal humidity, it's got smaller cells, and so you basically have a smaller guitar, if you will. So once a guitar has been over humidified, and I don't know what it takes for that guitar, but let's just say 70–80% humidity. Once it's been over humidified, it will have to stay at a higher humidity for the rest of its life. So over humidification is just as bad as under humidification. And I say that because, again, after Hurricane Katrina, I got 2 guitars in from a guy, and you know, I fixed them up for him. And they had literally been floating around in the water, you know. So that's as much humidity as you're ever going to get. When they came in, I swear they looked like they had come from Death Valley. The tops were just sunk like this, just like this guitar, only not as bad. The tops were just concave, and all the bracing had popped loose. And you know, I looked at it and said, God, if you would have told me, handed me the guitar, I would have thought it came out of Death Valley. I would have thought it came from the driest conditions on earth rather than the wettest conditions. So I asked my friend Mario Prue why that was so. I was expecting a swelled up guitar. And that's when he told me about the fact that the top is captured by this box. When it tries to expand, the cells get squished, and then when it gets back to a regular dryness, that you now have a smaller top. And that's why it shrinks down like that, because dryness causes the top to shrink. So, you're not really looking at a dry or wet situation, you're looking at a shrunk or expanded situation. And that's why relative humidity is relative to the guitar. Some guitars need more humidity, some guitars can do fine with less humidity. So I look at this guitar, and the first thing I see is the signs of a dry guitar. So let's take a look at the neck relief now. If it's truly dry, it's got to have a lot of neck relief because the fingerboard is shrunk. And I'm going to feel for the frets here. They don't feel too bad. If the frettings are sharp, that will really indicate dryness, but these don't feel too bad. So let's take a look at the relief here. I'm going to go to the D string, hold it down at the 1st fret, hold it down at the 13th fret, and I have not a lot of relief. It's not bad right there. Yeah, the relief's okay, surprisingly. I expected to see some relief. He says he's getting bad notes up here at the 6th or 7th fret. First thing I think of is, well, the next fret, so it's probably not going to be the frets. Although, the top is shrunk because it's because it's dry. The top is shrunk, the action is really low, and I bet the action is really low. So what I'm doing here is I'm getting all my information together. Let's see if I'm close enough in tune that I can check the action. So I'm going to roll out 90 thousandths of an inch, feeler gauges, get some light. Action's just a little over 90 in the low E, which is not bad. It's just 76. And you can hear that, right? See? I don't even really have to see the gap. I can tap the string like that and feel it. The action is 93 to 70, 78, which is good. That's what I had it set at. So it hasn't dropped because of dryness. So I'm rethinking about my dryness idea. I see that corduroy on the top. That could be heat. Could be something else. I'm not done with my diagnosis here. Anyway, the neck looks good. The action looks good. Let's take a look at the next fret clearance here. I can take my glasses off so I can see details here. And I'm just basically going to fret a string. I'm at this fret here. What am I at? The 5th fret. And I'm going to look at the clearance on the 6th. It's got lots of clearance. Move to the 6th fret. Look at the 7th. Lots of clearance. Lots. Tons. There's a difference between lots and tons, you know. Plenty of clearance all the way up and down the neck. You can go faster this way. So his buzzing problem, his fuzzy tone, is not coming from the frets. He's got a lot of clearance. It's not coming from there. So the next thing I'm going to suspect is a loose back brace, especially with that cracked bridge. Loose back braces are very common on D-28s, especially. There's a crack in the back. That's not been there before. Okay, see, I felt that. I got a crack in the back right here, and it's open. So the fact that it's open means that the wood is dried out, shrunk, and that's why there's a gap. Okay? If you had an impact, bam, and hit this thing and it cracked right there, if the wood was up to the proper humidity, nothing would happen. It would just crack, but it would not open. The only way it's going to open is if it's dry. And that is a pretty good opening. I mean, you got to dry the guitar here. The body's dry. The neck's okay. But the body's dry. There's no getting around it. It's gotten hot. Dried out. No question to me. Even though the neck doesn't show any signs of dryness, I think that's what we're looking at here. So, because I've got that crack in the back, now I'm really going to suspect a loose back brace. So, let's get this thing loose. Take a look inside. Gotta wind your strings right, Tim. Got the wraps going up on top. That's not good. Now, you got a crack in the back. It would be a bad idea to immediately push glue into that crack, because for one thing, it's not going to close the crack. But what's going to happen is you're going to get glue in there, and then the humidity is going to come up, and you're going to have glue inside this crack where the wood really wants to come back together, because that's where it started. It wants to go back there after you humidify it. So if you put glue in there, it's going to make a wedge. And then when it gets rehumidified again, it's going to push on that wedge, and it's going to split the crack even farther, or it's going to make it buckle. So do not glue that crack until you've got it closed. We'll get to that. I'm going to pull these pins out. I'm going to feel for them here. Well, not bad. I mean, I fit them, and so I'm not sure the fit is the issue here. I really think it's dry. Put these pins in the bag. Drop them in here. Make sure this little ziplock is closed. Do my little routine of the two middle strings first. Coil them. Put them around the tuners. A to B. Coil them up. Put them around the tuners. And the E's. Coil them up. Flip them around the tuners. Yep, and I got my strings in control. Put that up. Put that up. And I like this spatula right here for looking for back braces. It's nice and round, and the end of it is worn down pretty good to where it's almost sharp. Not quite sharp, but it's pretty narrow. Let me see. I'll get you a thickness on it. 10,000 of an inch. So not that thin. Flip the guitar over this way. Now, one thing I want to know about this bridge is I took the tension off of it, and I want to see what happens to that crack. Does it close up, or did it stay open? Because if it's open and then closes up, and I take the tension off, then we may have something else going in here. There might be a loose. The bridge plate might be cracked. The bridge might be moving under string tension, and I need to know that when I go to repair it. If it moves, that could be a sign that the bridge actually is loose, even though I probed under it and didn't find anything. It still could be loose. It could have a cracked bridge plate. The bridge is on pretty snug still. Let's see if the saddle's glued in. Yeah, I glued it in. So what I'll do when I repair this, and I'll go through this again, is I'll put the string tension back on it to help that bridge open up. I'll drop super glue in it, and then I'll let the tension off real quick. I've even just cut the string sometimes. Let that tension off. Let it go down and so it'll squish the glue in there. Let's see. I was checking for back braces. Here's my spatula. Just pushing it against the base of the braces. Generally, it's the base side that comes loose. For whatever reason, I have no idea. They're pretty snug, which is good. All the way to the back. braces. Pretty snug. That's good. Nice. Check the treble side. This is good. Good far. It's all good. Got a K&K pickup in it, which I probably installed. Let me take a look at that, make sure there's not a transducer hanging down or something that could cause a rattle. A buzz. Take a look at the bridge plate while I'm doing this. That looks nice. There's no obvious loose top braces, but sometimes they're not obvious. Let's go in there and probe. Now obviously you don't want to pry the braces out the top, but you do want to push on them pretty good. They'll feel pretty good. What else? Fingerboard. Fingerboard's a little loose. You know why it's loose though? Because on this year of HD-28 and on the modern ones, Martin doesn't score the finish out around to the edge. They just have a little piece of wood in here that's a little strip in here that's clear to finish. So there's actually no glue under this. And I've heard some people say they can hear that rattling. You know, the fingerboard kind of on the edge. Especially as easy as I'm able to get that in there. It's possible. It's going in pretty good there. Going in about that far. Good quarter of an inch. Fix for that, the real fix is to take the neck off and take the finish off and then put the fingerboard back on the way it's supposed to be. But a temporary fix is to just go ahead and put some glue on here, push it up under there, clamp it, and at least it'll stop the vibration. That's top. I swear that top feels dry to me though. I mean, I can feel the corduroy on that thing, which means the finish is sunken down in between the cells. So. Crack in the back, corduroy top. Of course, some of the fuzziness could just be from the cracked bridge too. So, we're going to fix the bridge now. I'm looking at the cracks. Looking at the cracks in between the pinholes, and I'm looking to see how far down do they go. I'll have to get a light. Okay, the middle one here, the middle two go all the way down to the top. I can see the crack going all the way down there. The outer ones are pretty good. They just go down a little bit and then I can't see anything more. So the bridge isn't toast or anything yet. It's definitely worth trying to fix, especially since the owner is fairly local to me. So what I do is get some thin super glue. This is number 10 Stu-Mac, number 10 thin super glue. It's in a pipette right here. And I'm going to get that, and I'm going to get me some sandpaper, which I prefer about a 400. This is a 320 grit sandpaper. Like that, wet dry. This is a 150. That's a little too coarse right now. You want something that's not going to leave, this kind of sandpaper the stuff comes off of it, see? And you don't want that because that's going to make a tint. This is a dark sandpaper, so even if the grit does come off, it's still dark, so you're still good. Let me set that there. No, I'm not going to go with 150. I'm going to stick with the finer grit. So what we're going to do basically is we're going to put super glue down in the crack. We're going to create dust with the sandpaper. A fine dust too, not a coarse dust. That's why 320, 400 will work good too. We're going to make a fine dust to go down into the cracks. Okay? So I'm going to start with the sandpaper, and I'm going to go cross grain. I'm going to go across the crack so that it'll push the sandpaper down into it. So first of all, let's try to get a good close-up of this bridge here. There's your cracks. Look at that. Typical cracks across the bridge. I'm on phone, I'll get your picture. Get your picture and then I'll stick this in there too. Takes forever booting up. Here we go. Good? I'll throw that on the video. Alright, take a sandpaper, I'm going to fold it over in half so I can get my thumb on the sticky side and go like that. And I'm just going to sand, like I said, across the grain, across the crack. Feel that cracking a little bit. Here's another picture. I've already got it pretty well hidden. When I put the super glue on there, it's going to soak down and it's going to take some dust with it. And basically I'm just going to get down here and I'm going to run this down the crack. I'm also going to watch it, make sure it goes down the crack all the way to the top, you know, all the way down the crack. The crack went like this. It went forward. I watched it go forward, so it's not going straight down. The crack actually goes forward on the bridge. Okay? Let that go down there. Now I'm going to take my super glue. If you're not comfortable with using a pipette, put something. In fact, I should just do it anyways to show you. Put something in the bottom of the guitar. Take a piece of cardboard that fits. Let's do this. Get a paper towel. Put it on the top of the guitar, underneath the pinholes, to catch any glue that might go through. Just lay it down there on the back braces. That looks good. I'm pretty comfortable using the super glue, and I'm not going to make a big mess, but you know, until you're comfortable doing that. You can also put tape on it, on the bridge plate, but there's K&K pickups on it right now. Makes it a little bit tougher. I'm going to come back in. Now, one thing I can do is take my pipette and come in from the side of that crack down in here. Leak it in from the side too. Yeah, I can see when I did that, the glue actually came to the surface of the crack. Now, we'll grab these clamps here real quick. And we'll put them from the front of the bridge to the back of the bridge. Normally this doesn't make any difference, but it is here. So, I'm going to clamp that. The way I like to do this is with the older ones. Pick the little rubber pads off so that you got plastic on plastic and you get closer to the top. Put it right here, put it between the B and the E, clamp it. Now obviously your top is in danger right now, so get a sandbag. Put it up here. Use your towel if you want to. Take a second one. And come over here between the E and the A. Clamp it. Put sandbags under here. This way, if the clamp falls over, it'll catch itself, you see. It won't hit the top. I'm going to let that sit for a little bit. I don't like that clamp. One of my clamps doesn't work very good now. Well, it's got some tension on it. It's good. It's good. The old clamps, the rubber thing comes off, but on the new ones, a little tougher. They're captive. But I do like the action of these new clamps. So, you win some, you lose some. Okay. Come over with my super glue again. Not going in very well now. Now it's just spreading on the top. So that means the crack is getting closed. Let that. You could let this dry for 15 to 20 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and go to the next step. And when I get done, I'll come back and clamp it again. Take those off. Take those off. Set them up here. I'm going to come in with the razor blade and just, actually, the paper towel first. I'm just going to wipe up that excess glue that's on it. It'll be easier to work with. Wipe up that glue. If you try to sand on top of the glue, it's just going to clog your sandpaper up. So get that off of there. Take a razor blade, a utility razor blade. You scrape it real light. Yeah, it looks good. I'm going to take my sandpaper, come back in and do this again. And you might have to do this half a dozen times. Sand, glue, you know, you're building up a layer of glue and dust in that crack. Picked up super glue, clogged up my sandpaper. So, yeah, flip it over, get a different surface here. There's a clean surface. Glue. Glue's run across the top. I'm going to glue the saddle on. I'm going to take it off. That surface glue isn't going to soak in anymore. When you use the pipette, boom, it goes down, and the rest of the stuff just sits on the surface. So it doesn't hurt at all to just wipe it off, get control of it. Come on back in, get a fresh piece of sandpaper here. You can do this pretty quickly. Okay. All right, we're back on this HD-28V, and I clamped it up here, left it for a little while, went in and ate lunch, and that's looking really good. Here's the bridge. I took a picture again. The cracks are almost, the crack is pretty well invisible now. So now the trick, The final step is, I like these Brillo pads for this. You can use sandpaper too, but these Brillo pads in the different grades are really handy for this. Just come back in here and polish it up, going with the grain this time. Polish it out, use the white one. The white one is the finest one. Polish it. Let's take a picture. Camera slow. Looks good. Now, you can do all that. There's nothing really difficult about that, but here's where the difficult part comes in, because I didn't have any hesitation about putting glue down the side. Now there's a glue buildup in there. No glue on my nap, on my towel. So what I'm going to have to do, what the world is this plastic straw doing in here? Now I got to fit anymore. It's a little high, quite a bit high. Not even going in. So, got to take my reamer. This is a StewMac reamer. Expensive sucker, but man, I use it all the time. I'm not even putting any pressure on this. I'm just cleaning the holes out. I want those pins, bone pins, I want them to drop. I want them to drop all the way up to the collar so they can't be pushed down anymore. They still fit pretty good. No pressure, just letting it clean it out. Nice. If you don't have a reamer, I don't know what you're going to do. You need to get a reamer if you're going to do this. Very handy tool. Doesn't have to be an expensive StewMac one. For this purpose, you know, anything that cleans out that glue will be fine. Here's a cheaper reamer here. It's fluted all the way around, so it tends to chatter a little bit, but it will work fine for this. It cuts faster because it has more cutting blades. You see it sticks right there, but you just work it back and forth. No big deal. Looks nice. Good. It's all sitting in there real nice now. And because, remember, I didn't hesitate to put glue in there, so the string slots are probably pretty gunked up too. So, pop the pins out. My saw that I use for slotting bridges. Make sure those holes are clean. I'm still smelling the super glue, so I'm not going to put these pins in yet. Okay, just clean the holes out like that. If you don't have one of these, you can probably use a round file. A round needle file, and just clean it out. You can even get a string. Take a string and you know, just clean those slots out. So that's the bridge being fixed. It's not a big deal. You know, I get that question a lot. A lot of people have cracked bridges. It may crack again. If it does, you just keep putting the glue in there, and eventually you'll get it to stop. I've had a few of them go, you know, 2 times. Rarely 3 times. and then you'll get it. You know, it's just a matter of getting enough glue and dust in there and that sort of thing. This one looks really good. I don't think we're going to have any problems with it, but we'll keep an eye on it. Anyway, I get a lot of questions about fixing that, and you can see it's a 15-minute operation. It's just really not worth shipping the guitar up to me. It's something that pretty much anybody that's reasonably comfortable with super glue or whatever can do. You need a couple of the right tools to do it, but by the time you ship a guitar to me, you can definitely buy a little set of pipettes and super glue. We're back. Stage 2 of this HD-28 V, and I emailed the owner, who's a friend of mine, and I said, man, your guitar's dry. I mean, there's no way about it. So he sent me pictures of his music room, which I've been in, and he's got 3 hygrometers in there, and they're all 40, 50%. I mean, he's got a humidifier, he fills it up. It looks good to me, you know. But that was, let's see, we did this first part of this video on Tuesday. Today is Thursday morning, 11 o'clock. So really, 2 days later, we've got Tuesday, we've got Wednesday, we've got Thursday. 2 days later, with this guitar in my shop, sitting out on the open. I've got a little rack over there that I keep open guitars on a lot. My humidity is 52% right now, which is just a little bit on the high side. The other hygrometer over there is 48%, and the one over here is 50%. Now, one thing about my shop, at night, you know, when I leave, I run a fan over there. I've got a box fan, you know, one of the big box fans, and I set that on low and circulate air. Since I've been doing that, I found that my humidity stays a lot more consistent in here. So I don't know what's going on in his music room. It looks good to me. I've been in there and everything. It feels humid. Right now, my shop, it's cold outside. Right now, my shop has got humidity on all the windows, even though I have plastic barriers on there. It's just, today is a little bit of a humid day, period. So anyway, I don't know what's going on. But all I can tell you is this. After 2 days of being out in the open in my shop, this top is no longer corduroy. It's got just a little, you know, it looks old. So it's probably had some heat sinking at one time or another. Straight edge going across the bridge. It's now clearing the top perfectly, you know. There's no sinking going on there. It's got the perfect amount of about 1/8 of an inch clearance over here. That little junction right here between the neck and the body is almost entirely closed. It's just the very, very tip of it right now. Right out here in the very tip, which is really okay because that means there's not a lot of pressure on the, you know, the tip of the neck. And the other thing that I noticed about it is the relief is just plummeted. When we first started, it had a little bit of relief, and I said, well, that looks pretty good. Right now, this neck is backbowed. I mean, 0 relief. So I don't know how much relief it has because it's 0. The action was right around, what I said, about 93 thousandths of an inch or so. And here's 90 again. And it is not clearing. The action has gone down dramatically because of the neck. That might be UPS. Because of the neck's back bow. So I'm going to put an 84 thousandth in here. 84, 85, 86, whatever. Neck's gone down that much. That's good. The action has gone down. So see, here's the thing about humidity. The top has come up from the increased humidity. The straight edge is now clearing the sides. It's got a nice belly now. It's not sunk like it was. So the top has come up, but the neck has gone back so much that the action is lower now. The top has come up, which should have raised the action, but the neck going into a back bow has dropped the action so much that I now have a low action with a higher top. Okay? So you've got to be careful when you look at the effects of humidity on your action because it's funny. It can make it go higher and lower, or it can make it stay the same, and yet your guitar is dry. So it's a little tricky using your action to say, oh, my guitar is humid. Well, no, not really. So let's see what it takes to get some relief in this thing. Here's my truss rod wrench. Put it in there, I'm loosening. I'm going to go that much. I need to loosen immediately, you know. I'm going over here to the same D string. Absolutely. There you go. Absolutely the smallest amount of relief I would have. I've probably got 2, maybe 3/1000ths of an inch right there. With a turn of that much. It's a lot. What happened to the action now? It was 84 a minute ago. Here's 90 again. Right at 90. Yeah, 92. I mean, it's just a shade over 90,000th of an inch. So that's what I want. So I'm back to where I was on the action. Back to where I was on the action. Back to where I was on the neck relief. The top has come up, which I like a lot better. I mean, I look at it now, and it looks good. I've got still, like I said, I've still got some corduroy effect going on here, but that could be partly because of heat sinking, and that happens when guitars are played outside, which I know this one has been, and the finish will sink down into the wood. But I don't see the hard. Be quiet, phone. I don't see the hard corduroy effect that I was seeing at first. And I can plainly see the top making a curve here. Looks like humidity to me. No, it looks good. Everything looks good there. Now the pins, the whole reason that I was really working on this was because the crack in here. And that's looking really good. It's still sealed up, not visible at all, so that's holding really nicely. I don't like the bone pins though. I'm going to go ahead and replace them with Galilith pins from Stuart McDonald. They're going to be white, hard plastic pins, and I'm going to send those home with them too, just in case. There you go. I can pull them out, with my fingers. So that's okay. That means they're not in there too tight. But the bone pins, one of the complaints he has about this is it has a jangle sometimes. And I'm telling you, that's one of the reasons I backed off of the bone pins. Is because you get the ball end popping on that thing, and man, it's jangly. And the strings coming across, the strings are going to contact the pin just a little bit as they dive in there. Bone pins just really can be really super bright. I'm going to check in here to make sure, for instance. The ball ends are all seated really nicely right now. But I put the strings back in. I can't guarantee everybody puts strings in the way I did. I'm going to go ahead and put some Galilith pins in here and send it home that way. Anyway, that, guitar looks good now. HD-28V. Let's see how that little, maybe that gap that was under there. Let's see how that's doing these days. It's still there. I don't think that's causing any issues. That's just a matter of Martin, not cleaning the finish out there. If I ever reset this guitar, I'll take care of that, but I don't think I'm going to reset it for quite a while. It's got enough saddle on it. Looks good. Really. Bridge is stuck on. I don't know if I pulled this bridge at one time or another. Yeah, I can't remember if I pulled it. It's got a little gap right there. See there? That's sticking on there. Since the guitar's here in my hands, I think I'm going to go ahead and pull the bridge off, make sure the finish is cleaned off underneath, and glue it down. So I think I'll do that. That won't take very long to do. And then I know that it's glued down the solids, because it is coming up a little bit and it looks a little funny. I'm just trying to remember if I've done this or not. On this one, it's got a little bit of scratching going on around here. A little bit of evidence that maybe the bridge has been off at one time, but I can't remember ever doing it. Maybe that corner's coming up just a hair, so I think I will reglue it. Okay, well, there you go. That's just another evaluation video. The guitar comes in. I evaluated it live on the screen, made my diagnosis, treated it, and now it's come back to me. It's come back again. We're going to take a look at it, and we saw the guitar change under 50% humidity. So it very quickly too. So the fact that it changed so fast under what is just normal humidity tells me that it's dry. It's dry. It sucked up humidity really fast, and you know, everything just points you to a dry guitar. Just because your hygrometer says something, read the guitar. And the other thing, the back crack. Remember the crack in the back? And I told you it had a gap in it. It closed up completely. That was the first thing I looked at. Closed up completely. I can't even find it. There it is. I glued it up. Used some super glue. Fixed that up. It looks real good. I can't even find the crack now. There it is. Yeah. But it went from this to that in 2 days. So, you know, what can I say? I didn't over-humidify the guitar. I didn't put it in a trash bag with, you know, 80% humidity or anything, which I've done for certain things. I just left it out in the shop under 50% humidity, and that crack closed up. The top popped up. The relief went down. It's dry.